All right, so maybe you're planning a trip out to the coast and you're looking for a nice dispersed campsite and you're coming up a little short because you don't really know what to look for, or you simply just haven't done this before. So I'm going to walk you through a few tips and tricks on how to find some great dispersed campsites out on the Oregon coast and sort of what to look for when you're doing all of that. So a lot of our more popular videos here on our channel are trips out to the coast, and rightfully so, because the Oregon coast is absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorite places. So if you're brand new to this, the thing you're going to need to look for is public land. And in the US, you can camp for free, usually up to 14 days on public land. So that would be National Forest land, BLM land, the Bureau of Land Management, occasionally some state forests land, not state park, state forest, and we'll get to that because there's a lot of state forest here in Oregon, mostly out on the coast. Those are sort of the three agencies that you'll need to be looking at when you're looking for a dispersed campsite out on the Oregon coast. All right, so first off, let's talk about a few really simple ways to find some campsites, and that will be this app here called iOverlander. The hard thing about this app in particular is it doesn't have a ton of great backcountry stuff. A lot of this stuff is sort of right off a main road, right off a main highway. Typically this is used by van lifers and folks like that to find a place to sleep. So if you're in a ground tent or you don't have more of a self-contained vehicle, it might be a bit more difficult to find some stuff on this app, but you can definitely still do it, and it can at least give you an idea of where to look for more dispersed campsites. So why don't we just scroll in here. The icons here indicate this one with the moon is a wild camping spot, so that would be dispersed camping. The interesting thing about this is a lot of the ones that are directly on the coast are usually right around a city, and you're not allowed to camp around cities on the Oregon coast. Definitely take these with a grain of salt. It does have more established campgrounds and things like that, so you can go in here and check the reviews and all that kind of stuff. But why don't we scroll inland a little bit, because inland on the Oregon coast is where you're gonna definitely have a little bit more success finding dispersed campsites. So here's a little bit of a cluster. Let's see what this looks like. Dead end campsite. Great spot for a couple of vehicles, not enough room to get a trailer around. Okay, well, that's good to know. So usually what I'll do in this situation is I'll copy the coordinates and I'll head over to Google Maps or other mapping software that we'll get into here shortly. And I'll just look and see, like, is this a part of National Forest? And looks like it is, because this is all green. So this is most likely public land, but we'll double check that when we get over to Gaia. You get the picture here. There's lots of information about camp spots on the Oregon coast. This can definitely give you a starting place and a place to get some ideas, get a place to go, and you can head out there. Another app that I find really helpful is The Dirt. And The Dirt has all kinds of stuff. It has lots of established campgrounds, and they also just recently introduced dispersed camping as a filter. So let me show you what that looks like. And we'll turn off some of these layers here, and we'll talk about all of this here pretty soon. I've used this app for quite some time, and there's lots of cool features. Overall, I think this is a better version of iOverlander. It just looks a lot better. There's a lot more information because there's a lot more people contributing, so that's super nice. So why don't we head out here and see if we can find ourselves a dispersed campsite. So the way you search for dispersed campsites is you click up here on the filters and you check dispersed. I was actually recently chatting with them, and the unfortunate part about the dispersed filter is sometimes it does show paid campgrounds, and I think they're working on that. I have found some pretty nice dispersed campsites. Some of them don't really have much as far as reviews go, so accessibility is not guaranteed. Always scout ahead before driving down dirt roads, but you know, we've got at least an area to go check out. We can take these coordinates and hop over to Google Maps or Gaia and see what that looks like. So I wanted to show you guys one that I found. So this is one that definitely isn't in iOverlander. A lot of the folks that contribute on The Dirt, I feel like, are just a bit higher quality overall. Beautiful spot out on a lake. So currently right now, I feel like there's a little bit less dispersed options on the dirt. Overall, I think the quality of the ones that I found on the dirt are a bit better, mostly because people are, giving a little bit more in-depth reviews and better photos and stuff like that. So this is definitely another great option, especially if you are looking to camp in a established campground. There's dispersed options, and if you get the pro subscription, then you have access to the BLM, Forest Service, and National Park map overlays, and then you can also filter for your cell provider. So I've got T-Mobile, so this is also something I have in another mapping software. But if you guys are interested in trying the pro subscription for the dirt, I have a link that I'll put up right now. And if you sign up for a 7-day free trial, even if you just sign up for the trial, it'll help our channel out because we get a small kickback. With Pro, you can, download your maps and all that kind of stuff. They have gear discounts, which, I haven't really tried, but that's kind of nice. And then you can also do like camping road trips, which is pretty sweet. This was my plan for our cross-country trip before we decided to do it in like late spring. We were going to do this whole northern route. We ended up not doing this route, but still pretty cool. You can calculate gas cost, how many miles, how many hours, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, again, if you want to check it out and you want to help us out, you can click the link in the description or the one that I just popped up and go sign up for a 7-day free trial. And we will get a small kickback from that. Another website that is similar in style to iOverlander is freecampsites.net. Now this is definitely heavily geared towards the RV van life crowd. There's just a little bit more sparse information on this website compared to iOverlander. iOverlander seems to be the place where most people go to share free campsites. But, if you're searching through and you don't find what you're looking for in iOverlander, this is another great website to come to, which is freecampsites.net. All right, so now that we have gotten past sort of the first line of defense, let's talk about finding your own routes, finding your own campsites. And what I really like to use for that is Gaia GPS. You can use this for free. You do not get access to a lot of the special features such as weather overlays. See, I've got the snow map here, so it kind of tells me how much snow is out on the places that I'm planning to go to. Gaia is fantastic for planning routes, marking campsites, and you're able to, if you purchase premium membership, you're able to upload custom layers. So in here I have the Google Earth satellite layer. So it just looks so much better compared to the satellites that come stock with Gaia. All right, so we've got our coordinates from our spot that we found in iOverlander. So why don't we just go ahead and paste these in here. Show on main map. Well, it's not going to give me a pin. That's fun. And we had our snow depth here. Okay, so it's looking like maybe this is sort of around the area. Maybe here at the end. Yeah, dead end. So it said dead end campsite. So it's probably up in here. This maybe looks like another spot. And we can scroll in here and say like, oh, this maybe looks like a campsite. I'm going to mark this down. Put a little campsite icon next to it and save. I will usually do that from iOverlander for a few spots in an area that I'm going to look for. But I will also just zoom in. Make sure that you have your public lands layer turned on so you know what is public land and what isn't. The interesting thing about the Oregon coast is a lot of this land is sort of interspersed with private land. So, there's these kind of like random little squares that are not part of the National Forest or BLM or whatever it might be. So just be mindful of that. And even if you don't want to pay for Gaia, there's plenty of ways to get these public lands maps so you know if the place you're planning to camp is public land or not. Mount Hebo. Yeah, I've actually heard good things about this area, so you can kind of scroll in and just kind of search around. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go through this completely, but my process here is I'll just pick a road and scroll and look for a clearing or a fire ring. Usually you're able to see fire rings on Google satellite layers so you can know if that's a campsite. So another app that I just recently grabbed was Onyx Offroad. I was using the free version for quite some time, which is still good, but I decided to pay for a premium subscription so I could just give it a try, see what it's about, and I really enjoy it because even though this isn't something that I'm going to use out on the trail, this is a fantastic research tool. There is all of these blue trails in here are things that the community has sort of put in and given some information about. So let's check this one out. So it gives you accessible by dirt bike, four-wheeler, high clearance 4x4, full width road. So that's really cool. We've got some great pictures in here. This is actually the area we were out in just last weekend for our last video. And this is the reason that I found that area was Onyx Offroad. Onyx Offroad even has some dispersed campsites marked on public lands. It's very occasional, but it looks like they're starting to put them in more and more. So a lot of the research that I've done for more eastern Oregon on a lot of these trails will have little campsite markers along the road so you know what is a dispersed campsite, which is also super helpful. So this is just another great tool to use when you're looking for trails to run or campsites to find. This is definitely geared more towards trail riding aspect rather than the camping aspect. But, you know, if you're looking for trails, the chance of there being a dispersed campsite on that trail is pretty high. So if you're looking for stuff on the coast and you already have Onyx, or maybe you don't, this is a good place to check out. And I think you can get a 30-day free trial. So earlier I was chatting about the types of public lands there are out on the coast. So that we've got Sizelaw National Forest here. You know, there's some BLM land a bit farther south, and it's all just kind of, yeah, so BLM is all indicated by yellow here. National Forest is green. And then this is all Oregon state land, so Oregon Department of Forestry. And up farther north, we've got Tillamook State Forest. All right, let's hop over back to Gaia. All right, so I'm copying the coordinates from this little spot here on the coast. And as much as, you know, the satellite layer within Gaia or Google is helpful, not always the best and not always the best way to find the most detailed information. So another app that I've sort of integrated into my research phase is Google Earth. And I've used Google Earth for a long time, but I just never really incorporated it into our trail finding, campsite finding routine. But it is seriously incredible. So let's hop over here to these coordinates. So this definitely looks like a little campsite. At the very least, just a dead end spot that you could set up. And now you can see we're pretty far from the ocean here. You know, maybe you'd get a view of the ocean, but that's sort of the hard part about the coast is a lot of the dispersed camping is much farther off the coast than you would expect. And that's okay because, you know, you can still find something that's, you know, maybe a 15-minute drive from the coast if you're planning a trip out there. You can see Google Earth just sort of makes everything a little bit easier. Looks like that is the Mount Hebo viewpoint, which would probably be a pretty cool spot to check out. Now, the unfortunate part about using Google Earth in this situation is you can't have the overlay of public lands. So I find myself switching between Gaia, Onyx, and Google Earth just to get an idea of what an area looks like, if it's going to be a cool campsite, and all that kind of stuff. We can do a little bit more digging here real quick. So let's zoom out. So let's say we want to go check out something in this area. So, okay, here's a bit of how I like to do this. I see this little clearing here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to drop a pin and copy the coordinates. If Gaia will let me copy. There we go. And now I'm going to hop over back to Google Earth. We're going to paste it in here. And it's going to take us there. Now, the best part about using Google Earth in this situation is, see, now I know that this is sort of a big old overlook spot. So this is 100% a campsite right here. Probably a pretty cool one. You've got, you know, the Another unfortunate aspect of camping on the coast in Oregon is so many of these forests are just clear cut constantly. So, you know, occasionally in some of these areas, you'll be camping next to or in a clear cut, and it just kind of brings you out of that wild feeling. I typically like to find campsites like this, like even though this is probably still an area that these trees are super young, it's still nice to be in a completely forested area and, you know, not really be able to see a lot of the clear cuts, but you can certainly see where they've harvested trees. Still fun to get out there no matter what, and the Oregon coast is just so beautiful. Sometimes it doesn't even matter. Okay, so this is totally a campsite, and there's some coordinates for you for free if you want to do that. So what I'll do is I'll just save that into Gaia. You know, we're not too far from a highway here. This could be a really fun spot to stay, you know, if you wanted to come down to the water and hang out for a few days and, you know, get away back up into the mountains, away from all the crowds, away from all the people. All right, so another app that I like to use in the research phase is Wonderground, which is Weather Underground. So this is just a really powerful tool. Definitely my favorite part about this is this sort of graph that gives you precipitation percentage, humidity, temperature, all that kind of stuff. And it's got this nice little line that you can see exactly the time by the hour. So maybe you can plan certain activities around that. I just find that like the Weather Channel and other weather apps just aren't, they don't give you as much good data as this one. So once I've decided that I'm going to go to a specific area, I'll come in here and check the weather. Another app that I've started using in my research phase is Trails Offroad, and this is essentially the same thing as onX Offroad with maybe a little bit more scaled back as far as functionality goes. As you can see, lots of trails in here that you can do. This is Lolo Pass Road, which is definitely a famous trail here in Mount Hood. Lots of great information, just like onX Offroad. Lots of great pictures from people who are out there scouting these trails. If you're looking for, you know, more information, sometimes onX has the same trails, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always good to get another perspective. So there you have it. A few apps and tips that I use when I'm searching for places to camp and ride overland trails. Probably another piece of advice that I would say is do a bit of planning, do a bit of research before you go, but you should also go out there with a spirit of adventure, which sounds so cliche, but it's true because some of the best campsites that we've found have been, we've had a plan, we've had a place to go, we get out there and we're like, well, that looks interesting, and we go up that way, and it's a beautiful area, a beautiful campsite. So I would say do yourself a favor, make yourself a little bit of a plan, but also go out there and just go have fun and be prepared. So that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like the like button down below. And I'll link our recent coast camping trip up here that you can check out if you haven't watched that yet, and you can see the beautiful campsite that we found. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Peace.